Hello, gentle marketers. Welcome to the Gentle Business Revolution podcast, the show where we talk about marketing your business by disrupting the current marketing paradigm. I'm Sarasuna Croce, as always, your host. And as you may have noticed, I'm posting some more regular updates right now in response to the current situation. So if this is your first time here, welcome. You are listening to a raw episode recorded today, Tuesday, March 24th. I want you to know that this is not your regular episode. I continue to post those on Fridays where we talk about gentle marketing. But right now, I'm wanting to serve you, my community of gentle souls, with resources that help us all deal with the current situation. For today's episode, I invited Nazim Beltran, a friend of mine who lives in Milan, Italy, with his wife and daughter. Nazim and I know each other from the good old Google Hangout days, and we even had Negronis together in Milan a few years ago when my husband Tony and I went to visit Nazim in Milan. So in this conversation, we talk about the current situation in Italy, what Nazim wants to share and what he's learned from being in confinement now for 3 weeks, and also some positive signs that he sees and that we can all take away from this experience. So here's Nazim and I. Hey Nazim, how are you?
Good.
Not too bad, right?
Not too
Like
bad.
this
Not too
weird
bad.
question right now,
I
right?
know.
Yeah, just dealing with the circumstances.
Yes, as of 3 weeks, we're going on to almost 4 now. I mean, since it all kind of started.
Yeah. So, you're based in Milan. So
I
I
I'm
think,
based in Milan, Italy. I've been living here for 27 years. Moved from America, married an Italian from Milan, and we live here. And we have a daughter who is 25.
wow, yeah.
Yeah.
And we, I had to like retrace how we met, and we met on Google Hangouts. I remember
Yes,
when that
we
was still a
started.
thing.
Yeah, we started on Google Hangouts,
Yeah, yeah.
and,
And
and
then I
then
came to visit you together with
that's
your
right.
husband, Tony. And
I had the chance to meet you guys here in Milan, which was very nice. We went to had a nice glass of wine, and
yeah, you introduced us to Negronis. I think that was the first.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, the dangerous combination.
Yeah. I wanted to get you on here to, kind of talk about how you lived through these 2.5, 3 weeks.
Okay.
The situation is right now in Milan, and this shouldn't be like an alarming kind of,
No, no,
panicky
no,
episode,
no.
but just, really talk about the reality of the situation and yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, for those who do not know, I have a digital agency here in Milan, and I'm also a consultant for a company that designs cruise ships, which is located down in Genoa. So about 4.5 weeks ago, when the first things started happening close to Milan and Codogno and Lodi, I decided to come down by car down to Genoa with my wife, and I said, let's go by car and avoid the trains, because I was a little bit foreseeing that if it reached Italy, it would, we would start having to take some considerations. I stayed down in Genoa, and I helped the office go towards remote working. And then about 2 weeks ago, I had a feeling that they were going to start putting everybody on lockdown. So I said I might as well go back home to my family in Milan. And I took a train on Thursday, which was very strange because it was an empty train. I was the only passenger. There was not even the ticket control guy.
Oh wow.
And so I documented that on social media, and people were like, wow, this is pretty serious. And we've been on lockdown. This is the third week we are going on lockdown. And Italy, I think, has decided to do the lockdown in a very strategic. First, they kind of started because it has an impact on the economy of each country. So they started saying, okay, we're going to lock down certain things, but bars and restaurants can stay open if you keep a distance of 2 meters. That doesn't seem to work. And so each week they've increased the level of lockdown. And currently we are now in closed inside houses. You can go to the supermarket, you can go to the pharmacy, you can go around the block if you need to do an exercise, but the parks are basically off limits.
Mm.
And that's how we started this week right now. And working remotely, it's working quite fine. I think there's a lot of people keep asking me. There's a little concern regarding internet, but we hadn't had any major breakdowns. I mean, a little fluctuation in speed, but internet is still working quite well, which is quite important in the line of work that we all do.
Yeah, for everybody right now.
I know. So, but I don't think as everybody goes online, I would imagine it either cap people's usage or make it that it can work in ways that can work for everybody. I don't think you're going to let the system.
How did people react when the government said, okay, now the school's closed, and then the following week everything's closed, and now you're not
Well,
allowed?
I can specifically say in the case of our office, when they first started the first closure, obviously we have architects who are female. They were all concerned about now what are we gonna now I what am I going to do? Do I have to the kids staying at home? Young kids are staying home. Do I have to get a babysitter? Do I have to deal with this? Do I have all those realities that before because with lockdown there was a kind of initially there was a movement that you could go and take care of certain things, but now the lockdown is quite severe. So I assume cleaning people or cleaning ladies or babysitters could not come over in situations like that. So those were the concerns, the initial concerns, and everybody was saying, well, it's only going to be 2 weeks, so we should be fine. But as it gets extended, then people start getting a little bit more nervous. And there is, I have to admit, there is a little bit of that anxiety in the air. Also, what's pretty obvious to everybody is also the economical impact on every single industry we're all involved with, and how everything's connected. Because now we live in a global world. With if somebody sneezes in China, you can hear it across the continents.
Mm.
And so this interconnectivity in this global world, which for certain things was convenient and appropriate, now it's turning out to be something that we are a little bit like, oh, wait a second. Now, I didn't know that that had such an impact on this, that, and this. And we see it in travel getting cut down. We see it in. So this is a test for modern times, I think, to tell
Yeah,
you the truth.
definitely is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we both have.
Do you like my background there in
I
the back?
do. Yeah, it's very apocalyptic in a way.
We can go up north to get away from all. Who
I,
knows?
yeah. Um, I was gonna say we both have friends, and people on this podcast are based in the U.S., and so
Right.
really this virus is kind of slowly but very effectively, or that's not the right word, but deadly in a way.
Yeah, extending itself.
Yeah, like moved across the continent, and what's crazy is that when we were like, we are right next to Italy, right? And
Right.
or we are about 10 days probably behind you in the wave. And we looked at Italy going, wow, what's happening over there, right? Until it hits you, I don't think you realize
No, you don't
that
realize
it's going to hit
till it hits you. And then we watch the news in the evening and we see the what do you call it? The overload on the medical on the hospitals is incredible. I mean, I really find it hard to believe that there's any system that can quickly ramp up and cover such an expansion of contagious patients and such. I mean, it's very difficult, and I think it's going to be a problem for just about every country.
Mm-hmm.
And my hope is that every country will, because we are. Yesterday, I was watching the news, and some patients were sent to Germany for treatment because it was not enough space here in Italy. So slowly, countries are realizing that instead of blocking up and stuff, we maybe have to open up a little bit and, as much as you can, help each other out.
Elaborate, yeah.
So I'm hoping that also in America, this kind of opens up in that sense. I don't know. Each country has its, the leaders that we voted for, and we're in their hands right now. So we're hoping that each one of them knows what needs to be appropriately done.
Yeah, and obviously, Italy has been kind of this reference where the whole world was watching what was happening in
Yeah.
Italy. But let's face it, we are now, we've rode this wave, and now slowly they're starting to say, okay, well, there's a little bit of slowdown in Italy.
I'm
Now
looking
we're going to
forward.
be watching some other country, and
Of course,
my
of
fear
course.
is that it is going to be the U.S.
Yeah, New York especially. I'm a little bit concerned about New York in that sense because it's pretty similar to Milan. They're saying in regards to how the numbers quickly ramped up. Hopefully, we're going to be watching the numbers tonight because we've had 2 days in a row of the beginning of a drop. So
Yeah.
if that trend keeps following, then hopefully the whole idea here is to try to alleviate the hospitals and the health personnel that are just putting in incredible hours to do
Right.
miracles, trying
Yeah.
to do miracles.
Yeah, what I was hoping to do also on this show is kind of, what could we share since we're a bit ahead of the curve?
Yeah,
What could we share with our friends in the US and maybe the UK and some other countries where there's still time? And yes, you said, listen to our leaders, but I think it's also a time for us now to self-lead ourselves,
yeah,
like
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of like
I totally,
say
I
what
totally
is
agree.
right for us.
I mean, exactly. The beautiful thing that we've said, and this is to be on the optimistic and the positive things that are coming out here in Italy, is that in the last 3 weeks, uh, we've expanded to our neighbors across the street. There's been a lot of emotional moments where it started out with the singing on the balconies, obviously, and stuff like that. But then our neighbors got in touch. Everybody's in the building gets in touch with everybody else. Do you need this? You need that? Even if we cannot contact each other, people leave notes and say, okay, listen, if you need, I can go to the supermarket for you because there's some people in this building who have a certain age, and we
Mm,
know we're not so sure that they. So there's a lot of that going on. And then what
mm,
I've noticed with our friends in America is I've been talking to a lot of them because they've been asking me, Nazim, you're at the beginning of the curve. How how is it? And I go, well, the important thing is to try to keep some sort of calm and
mhm,
collected approach to the thing because I know that it's easy for one to say this, but it has impacts on everything that we do. But if we start really not helping and just reaching out for conversation, even just listen, this is this, watch this, be careful about this, and not go into this sort of pandemonium or panic mode because right now we're at an anxiety level that's quite a little bit above the standard. But you have to look and see, okay, what can I do during this downtime? I can maybe, apart from remotely working, I can maybe learn that course that I was not able to find time to learn about whatever specific interest you might have, either work related or even a hobby. I mean, I don't meditate, but my wife's like, you should start looking into meditation. I'm like, yes, that's a great idea. So filling those spaces in with positive things and also expressing that to your friends abroad through social media, which is one of the best things. I mean, we're able to chat and send messages back and forth and without, obviously without a level of like but at a level that I'm here, I'm present. If you need me, just, give me a holler.
right. Yeah. Yeah. And I do find that we see more of these collective kind of projects or people
Yeah,
helping each other more
yeah,
and
yeah.
more. And I was almost, yeah, like very emotionally touched by an email from Airbnb Italy. Who shared that they're looking for people, leaving their homes available for the medical.
Yes,
So
yeah, of
it's
course.
a
Yeah,
great initiative by a
yeah,
private company, right?
exactly, exactly.
I think there's going to be more of that. And I heard on Tim Ferriss's podcast just the other day that he's encouraging, like he's like, shout out, please, companies, wake up. He's, mentioning the Hilton and all these
Yeah,
hotels that are now
yeah.
empty. Well,
They're empty.
now
Exactly.
step
So
up
no,
and say,
exactly.
hey, yeah, we're able to help.
Yes. So those things are all the positive things that can come out of this, and obviously, it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a little bit longer than what people are were initially saying. Oh, it's just gonna be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then everything by the summer will be. Who knows? Who
Mm,
really knows?
mm,
It's a virus. It's very infective, and looking at the past things that different presentations from Bill Gates and everybody years ago. It was due to come sooner or later. This is right now our something to deal with that is putting turmoil in the world economically, but we have to kind of keep a focused perspective of everything and look at everything with a positive outlook. I've always been that way in just about everything I do, and let's see where we go from there.
In a way, it's a fair virus, at least, because we're all in this together. That's not
Yes.
just a hashtag. It really is the case this
Exactly.
one time, right?
Exactly.
And I remember my friend, my Italian teacher in Sicily. She, at the beginning, they were kind of like, there's kind of this tension between the north and the south of,
Yes.
and they were like, oh, isn't that interesting? Usually the north always points at the south and says, you bring in all the foreigners and all of that. And so now this virus, they said, the virus traveled first class, meaning,
Exactly. That's a very good point.
the rich people basically brought in the virus, which is an interesting
Approach.
conversation as
Yeah.
well, right? It's true that people, those people who travel for business, they are also the ones who spread the virus
I
everywhere.
know.
We're not pointing fingers, but we're just saying,
I know.
look, this is not a poor people virus that we all have to deal with. So in a way, it really means we're all in this together.
Exactly. And I think hopefully that those thoughts will be going away, because also initially when we started about 4 weeks ago, there was little incidents where people were like, against Chinese people on the street. They were like harassing them because, oh, you brought this to our country and stuff like that. And everybody's like,
Wow.
are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So that has, I think it's kind of faded away. But, sometimes the leaders put the fingers on like blaming stuff and like that. And I think that that's got to be brought down a level, because that can escalate into things that we really don't want to see.
Yeah, exactly. It's not one country's or one person's
No, no,
fault.
no,
So
no.
yeah, yeah.
Oh.
How can we end this with a positive note?
Let's end it with a positive note.
Yeah. Why don't you
Okay.
talk about the singing, because that's probably the
Well, the
one
singing
thing
was
that
Oh, yeah, the
most
singing was.
people remember.
Yeah. Well, what happened was, the first week we had two incidences. One was the singing on the balconies, in which there's also a friend of mine who's a trumpet player here in Milan that everybody knows was involved in singing, playing trumpet from his house, and it was fantastic. It went all over
I
all the
saw that.
media,
That was
all the
beautiful.
yeah. Rafael is a very good friend of ours, and I texted him. I said, "Dude, I can't believe this," and that was great. And then the following 3 days after that, there was one day we were all on the terrace in the evening, because there was a general flash mob for everybody to go on the balconies and applaud and support the medical staffs that were fighting in the hospitals. And a lot of doctors were also texting afterwards. I got so emotional hearing the noise outside, and I asked, "What was this all about?" And it's supporting you guys who are in there, in the
Yeah.
trenches, so to speak. So those are things. And then also, we are doing a lot of. We have our neighbors right across the same apartment opposite to us, and they're roughly about three. So the other night we were like, why don't we just do a social distance aperitivo, kind of like a happy hour. So we got together, we separated, we kept the distance, but we had our drinks and we were just talking. And with neighbors that, they're friends of ours, but now we get to spend more time. So it's these sort of things that I think need to be done in this period. And even in America, everybody has their houses, and you see somebody across the street and you just go, okay, I'm not going to get close, but if you need anything,
Yeah.
we're here. And that I see from the posts I've seen Brian Kramer and seen a lot of other friends of ours from past experiences. I've seen that they're seeing that a lot. So those are the things that have to be pushed, and not so much, spreading stuff that's just like social media has a double-edged short sword, in my opinion, in the sense that there's good and there's bad. And I think I would really not like to see all these things of like, oh, did you hear this or did you hear that? There's a lot of rumors going on right now. We need to stay focused, follow the instructions that the health experts are telling us to do, which is wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands.
Yeah, wash your
And
hands. And I think in the US, they really need to also now, say not just state by state, but, it's just like everybody should just go.
exactly, exactly. Because it's, I mean, and also not going to I mean, it is true that about 70 to 80% of the people who catch it don't even know they caught it, or just it's a flu, heavy flu, heavier than a flu, a little bit milder flu. Some other people, when they get it, though, it's quite serious. So it's not something to be just considered, oh, it's going to go away. And, it's here to stay. And obviously, we will get a vaccine. We will get the appropriate drug treatments that need to be put in place so that we can cut the numbers down. And hopefully next year it'll be a different ballgame.
Mm.
I just see, I'm looking at what I see in South Korea and China, how they're going back to business. It's not like, oh, we're back to bit. No, it's a very slow reentry with a lot of precautions. And we got to get in the mind frame in Western civilization, all the countries where we live, that's what's going to happen also over here. It's not like, oh, by October, I'm going to be out back in, no, it's going to be a slow comeback. But I'm optimistic about it. So I'm hoping that will happen, to
Yeah.
tell you the truth.
Yeah, same here. And I think we've, been through worse. Maybe not
Yeah.
us in our generation,
No, not our generation.
for sure. So yeah, we got this, and I think, like you said, it was bound to happen. I follow astrology a little bit, and in there as well, it just all makes sense that this is what we're being asked to look at right now, and so this
Exactly.
quiet time to go inward is
Exactly. And maybe also what I like to think is that maybe, and I was talking to my wife about that because she's in the fashion world, and she's like, you know what? I'm so happy because it's like everybody got off the treadmill for a second to
Mhm.
look at each other and to really realize all the stuff that we're doing. There has to be a different approach to how we do
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. Thank you
it.
so much for coming on and
Thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure, and I'm super happy that we reconnected. And I've been
likewise.
following all your stuff on LinkedIn as always. You're my go-to person on LinkedIn.
Thanks, Nazim. And we'll do Negronis again when Milan is back.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
Thanks. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, this is a raw episode, so sorry that the audio quality was not perfect, and there was even some beeps on my LinkedIn where I forgot to close it and there was messages, but I hope you found it helpful anyways. This Thursday, I'm releasing another extra episode, a conversation with Jenny Blake, who was a previous guest on episode 24. And we thought we'd get together and share how to deal with the current crisis if you are an empath or a highly sensitive person, just like the two of us. So again, these are extra episodes. They're unedited, raw, and I'm not creating show notes for them either. So you need to be subscribed to this podcast in order to get notified on your app when I release a new episode. So just go to your favorite podcasting app and hit subscribe for the Gentle Business Revolution podcast. Thanks so much, and talk again soon. Be well.